Good morning. Welcome to the in-person DTT Science Forum. My name is Veronica Godfrey Robinson. I'm a biologist in the MTB lab. We are in the library introducing the reading room, which is a joint partnership with DTT and the NIEHS library. The library will have a different feature of books every quarter, but let me show you, for those of you on the Zoom, that there is a list. This is the new list of features of books that will come out shortly after this meeting. And the new features will also be on the top of this bench right here when you come in. And also they have bookmarks, 2 different bookmarks that when you click on the QR code would take you to a couple of books that would give you a little sample of what the books are about. So make sure that you not only look at the books, but pick up a couple of bookmarks, and hopefully you will gain some really good information on professional development and a couple of things, career pathways, leadership, workplace and well-being, and mentoring mindset. I think I am done with the announcements. Thank you for your patience, and I turn this over to Mark.
Okay, and I can introduce our first speaker. It's going to be our newly minted scientific director in the Division of Translational Toxicology, Dr. Heather Pattisall. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. And what an impressive list of announcements. I mean, DTT has a lot to celebrate, which is really terrific to hear. And I'm looking forward to all of those events in June, including the Spring Fling and the poster showcase. And wow, for those of you who are not here in person, you're missing an amazing spread. First of all, if you're local, it's not too late to get in the car and get some coffee and enjoy all the treats that are here. But this is a really beautiful facility. And so it's just really nice to have a place to gather and look at resources related not just to science, but career development and a whole bunch of other topics. There's a section of Asian literature over here, and I just finished one that's featured, Crying in H Mart. It's hilarious, so I strongly endorse it. If you have not read that book. And so it's really nice to have these resources available for everyone in DTT and NIEHS generally. I was also pleased to see there's a lot of audiobooks in the collection. And so it's really easily accessible. And so I just commend and thank the librarians and the folks in DTT, especially Mark, for facilitating this and pulling this all together and making it available for folks, and encourage everyone to come on down and visit and say hello in person. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mark. It's going to Jay Ingrid. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So this is near and dear to my heart for a couple of reasons. I'm going to take you all back a few years ago when senior leadership worked to establish NIEHS values. One of those values, if you might remember, was workforce. And to me, there is no NIEHS without our people, right? Everything we do, the science can't happen, grants can't get out the door, you all can't do your work if we don't have our people, or we can't do our work if we don't have our people. So the fact that you all took this on to invest in our people, in our workforce, speaks volumes, and I want to say thank you. I also want to thank you all for doing this as a collaboration. So that's another value of NIEHS, right? I mean, you all obviously took the leap to work with Erin and her team in the library to do this. Fantastic. This is exactly the kind of stuff we want to see happen. If you all will remember maybe it's almost been a year now, we put in place, in response to the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey results, an action plan. And one of those questions that we were responding to on the action plan, or in the FEVS results, the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey results, was about career development. There was a question in there that said, I feel like I get what I need, I'm paraphrasing, but I feel like I get what I need to develop in my career. And the scores weren't where we wanted them to be. So as the senior leadership, we intentionally developed an action plan that focused specifically on that question. And we did things like launch the mentoring program, which you're going to be hearing more about soon. We also actually adopted some of what you all were doing in DTT with the focus on individual development plans, or IDPs. We rolled that out. We tried to make sure that all supervisors and managers have now been trained in it. So the work you're doing is not just having an impact within DTT, it's having an impact for our entire workforce. And for that, I'm grateful. So thank you for what you're doing. Please keep at it. None of us can do this alone. It's really all about the partnerships and the connections we're building with each other to advance invest and advance in our workforce. So from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our senior leadership committee, thank you.
Thank you, Jay and Heather. And it's great to hear that from our senior leadership. Because one of the pieces of feedback we continue to get from staff is that we need supervisor support. We need top level support to be able to be successful. We can read all the books in the library. We can take all the trainings we want. But if we don't have those opportunities and the support from our supervisors, we're not going to be able to make those strides we're looking for in our personal development. And so I have a couple notes here just to keep myself on time so I don't run over, which happens a little too often. Today's supposed to be a fun day. This is a kickoff, a reveal day. And so I really appreciate all of you coming down who are here in the room or joining us on the Zoom. Taking a minute or two away from the to-do list, the checklist that we have to get to really focus on ourselves and each other. And, you know, I apologize for those who are on Zoom and not in the room. You don't get to have coffee and some little snack cakes and things like that. But we encourage those who are here to do so. We're here to celebrate the expansion of the NIEHS Libraries Work-Life Collection that incorporates professional development reading room as part of DTT's new professional development program. Many of you were able to join us a week ago today when we had the town hall in DTT and kicked off our professional development program. And there were 6 elements of that for those in NIEHS who weren't on or able to join us. And those are career pathways, mentoring mindset, individual development plans, IDPs, workplace well-being, because without a good, healthy environment in which to work, none of these other things will matter. Training resources, and the focus of today, the reading room. And so for the DTTers or other folks who want to be able to see how this fits into the entire professional development program, the video is going to be up on the DTT wiki, which anyone with access with their CAC card to get into the junction is able to see the rollout and web pages that we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. That really cover many of these areas and aspects of resource support. So for those of you who know me, I'm a little bit boring, and so we probably should have had Veronica doing this section to bring a little bit more excitement to it. But what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about what those keys to successful professional development were. And if anybody remembers from last week, what is the one key that will work for everyone in professional development? Well, I don't see any hands because there wasn't one key. There is no one thing that's going to be the perfect answer for every person. And so if we think about that, who remembers these types of keys? You've all seen these or likely had them many years ago. These were literally your first keys to development. They taught you about hot and cold. They taught you about self-soothing. They taught you a lot of things in your developmental journey. And no, BPA free. And so as we think about these keys, these were the first step, and they were great at the time. They were just what we needed. But they're not going to take us through our entire life's journey. They're not going to take us everywhere we need to go. And so all along the journey, we've had to find other keys to success. You know, I think I have when you turn 16 in most states, the most important set of keys you can possibly have at that time are your car keys. You know, and so that was another step because that meant more freedom. That meant more independence. These are all concepts that are also important in our professional journey. As we move on, you get, I don't know, house keys. You have house keys that first time you get your own apartment or when you buy your first house. That's security. That's something that's also very important in our professional development journey. And then finally, if we think about it, we have all sorts of other keys now, and they don't look like the keys used to. They change over time. Technology has helped us to develop more useful, more technologically savvy, security keys to plug your ID into your computer. All of these things allow us new advances, new steps. And that's what putting together these 6 elements that are incorporated into the professional development program are meant to do. It's to provide different types of keys and different types of opportunities for all of us out there, because we're all on a different journey and we all need different things. And so creating a wealth of resources is going to hopefully touch on as many different individual paths as we possibly can. Equally important is every person's journey needs different keys along the way. And so what you need as a 20-year-old based on your passion or where you want to go or what you want to do is very different than 30 or 40 or 50 or later in our careers for some of us. And so really thinking about it that way, that there is no one simple fix, but rather you need to explore these resources and opportunities yourself is really the key to a successful career development path forward. And so I also get the privilege of extending a lot of gratitude for pulling this together today. Jay touched on it a little bit, but this really is about collaboration. This is about partnership. This is about bringing people together. No person's professional development journey is isolated. And so in building a program around it, we wanted to incorporate as many people and perspectives as we possibly could. And so last week, I think we heard that there were 17 ICs, branches, offices, groups that were contributing into the overall professional development program. But focusing more on why we're here today, the reading room itself, it's really a collaboration between DTT and the library first and foremost. And I want to thank Erin and Nora, Elise, and the Cora, Laura, Lucy, who really without those folks, we never could have brought this collection to you all as a workforce and a community. And so I really want to thank the ideas generation, the putting it together, the researching books, all of those sorts of things were integral to this effort. I also want to thank the DTT Science Forum, who's really partnered with us to bring the programming so that we can communicate all this to you as well. And so thank you to Rachel Frawley and her team that really plans, structures, works with Nathan and the AV team, which is the next group that I really wanted to thank, the AV folks and bringing that together in the new environment in which we're working post-COVID. It's really important for us to have these other tools for communicating. I want to thank the web development team, Cheryl Thompson, Hamza, Klaus, all those folks for bringing the web presence for this so that you all have access to these materials online as well for those remote workers or teleworkers. And finally, I want to thank in DTT Penelope Williams, who no doubt you have met by now because she's not shy about introducing herself or stopping by your office. And without her real ideation and thinking about what possibly could be, this also wouldn't have come to fruition. She has done a lot of hard work to bring these groups together in order to support this effort. So I really wanted to thank you both publicly and privately for all the effort that you've put into this. I think that covers everyone. I want to make sure I didn't forget anyone. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Erin Knight from the library, our partner there, to talk just a little bit about the collection for those who weren't on last week.
I'm just going to be a couple minutes. First and foremost, welcome to our library. It is so nice and energizing to have a small crowd here. Heather and I used to work at the Hamner years ago, and to say we had a beautiful library as well there is not an understatement. And we could have parties after work that actually we could have alcohol. But even though there's no alcohol, there's coffee, which is just as important. So thank you for bringing all that, Mark. But I also want to thank Penelope and Mark for inviting us to partner on this because we are all about partnership. Over here is our diversity collection. We partner with the OC, Office of Scientific Education and Diversity. Nora sends out the highlights. We get thank you notes every month on those emails. People love it. We partner also with OSED on the Scholars Connect boot camp. So we train them when they come in on library things like literature searching and EndNote. So the scholars you mentioned earlier, Veronica, they came through us first too. So anything we can do to reach out and partner, we're always happy to do. This is a very, very a partnership that makes a lot of sense because we have the work-life collection right here. It already was in existence. It needed some updating. So when Penelope came to talk to me about it, we were like, oh yeah, we can definitely be doing this. When I first came here in 2012, we had Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies. And so it has been updated. I want to be clear. And it will continue to be updated again and again as new topics arise. Nora and Elise, as Mark mentioned, are our leads. If you all want to wave, we would love suggestions. All of these books are available to anyone with an NIH badge. And I think that's really important that you do not have to be a Fed or in DTT to use these resources. In addition, on the website, there's many ebooks. And NIH Library has a total of 180,000 ebooks now. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So just know that we can help you navigate those and find new resources. And we can also help in a lot of other ways. So while you're here today, if you want to speak to librarians, Stacy is in the back. Nora and Elise, Kelly's out manning the front desk, but just please say, hey, I don't really know much about how you can help me. How can we help you? And we'll be glad to tell you. The last thing I want to say, I just think it's super important for all of us to make sure we are mindful of our professional development because no one's going to do it for us. Our contract is written in such a way that it's so important for us to keep up with trends and information science because things are changing so much. We, in our contract, it is written that we will be in a professional society. We will attend an annual conference. We will keep up with the trends. So the smart people in OA who wrote that contract are making sure that we're keeping up and presenting the best services we can. And everyone at the Institute should be taking advantage of the wonderful resources and this is just one small piece. So mostly just wanted to say thank you and welcome and stay and enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, so we had a very brief agenda today, 30 minutes. That was the idea here. But we do have another 30 minutes. And so the rest of the time is intentionally dedicated to connection time. Connection and community is one of the foundational elements of the DTT Workplace Wellbeing Initiative. If you heard about much more about that last week on Thursday. And so fostering positive social interactions and relationships in the workplace engages the human need for social support and belonging. Organizations can build social connections and community at work by encouraging pro-social behaviors. Pro-social behavior promotes positive social relationships through welcoming, helping, and reassuring others. Workplace cultures that promote belonging can foster a powerful protective force against bias, discrimination, and exclusion in the workplace. DTT can create environments where connection is encouraged and workers of all backgrounds feel included. And so what we'd like to do now is stop the recording so that folks on Zoom feel perfectly comfortable to share and interact and engage.